By the way, are you still going to go to Rapid in August? Marianne?
Oh,
Are you still going to Rapid in August?
They canceled it.
No. August. They moved it to August.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Oh, here we go. We're on. Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Good afternoon now. Welcome to the Long Island Board of Realtors, Monday, Friday presentations, technology presentations, and webinars for our members. I'd like to introduce a very special guest today, Craig Grant. In addition to being the CEO of RETI.US, the real estate industry's online home for technology education, our trainer today, Craig, has an amazing ability to present technology topics in such a fun and easy to follow way. Realtors not only understand Craig's delivery, but are able to apply the knowledge and tools they need in this ever-changing real estate marketplace. With over 150 speaking engagements around the country each year, including NAR, he is no stranger to LIBOR. We have absolutely had Craig be with us, and we were happy to have him. There's no doubt why he's considered the real estate guru. So we welcome him. You're in for a treat. And thank you, Craig, for being with us.
Thank you. And it's great to be with you guys today. As Marianne mentioned, my name is Craig Grant. And I am the CEO of RETI. And what we're going to kind of talk to you guys about today is how to really make technology not only work for you, but help you thrive during the situation we're in right now, and more importantly, after. Because any of the technology tools or tricks or anything I'm going to provide you are tools you could use ongoing to help your business. And by the way I'm going to kind of do things is I'm going to try to keep my eyes on the chat room as best I can. But once I get into kind of presentation mode, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky keeping up. But no matter what, towards the end, we'll dedicate some time for any questions and answers you guys have. And then one other thing that I'll kind of throw in as a bonus is I'll share a link with you guys at the end where you can download this entire slide deck. Okay, so take notes on what you want to take notes on, but realize I will share a way for you to get all the slides because you're going to see we're going to try to pack as much as we can into this hour. So let me quickly go back and share my screen so you guys can see my presentation. Alrighty. Okay, so as I mentioned, what we're going to get into is how you can really use technology to help you thrive during and after these turbulent times. And as I mentioned before, feel free to ask questions and also realize you'll be able to download all the slides. So what we're going to go over is first, we're going to give you some overall tips on working remotely from home. Some of you might have already been working from home for a long time, but for some of you, this might be a whole new world. So I'm going to try to give you a little bit of tips on that. And then we're going to give you some technology tools to help you stay in touch, collaborate more. And then we're going to get into the real estate side of things. How do you show properties? How do you promote them? How do you do presentations remotely and everything else? And then we're going to kind of wrap it up with just now is a perfect time to also focus on yourself and really improve your business. So starting off with the first item, which is how do you really work better from home and remotely? As I mentioned, for some of you, this might be a whole new world. And I can tell you from my own experience, I've been working in the real estate industry now since 2005 for about 15 years. Before that, my background was I was a national manager of digital media for the New York Times. And when I left the New York Times and started working from home exclusively, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was one of my managers at the time pulled me aside and said, Craig, no matter what you do, you got to try and make normalcy as much as you can. You got to act like you're still coming to the office. And it was probably the best advice I got. So that's kind of the one of the things I want to kind of give you is you want to try to maintain normalcy as much as you can, meaning try to have an actual daily schedule, just like you would if you were punching the clock at an office. Try to wake up at the same time every day. Try to fight that urge to hit the snooze button and say, oh, I can sleep in a little bit longer. Really fight that. Also, you really want to try to make sure you have as much of a dedicated workspace as possible. And that's trickier than ever right now because you might have kids in your home that should be in school. Now they're clogging up your workspace. You might have a spouse that's now at home with you. I mean, the typical home now is more congested than it ever was. But you really got to make sure you're kind of carving out a good workspace for yourself that's not working from the bed. It's not working from the couch. You got to make sure you have a good workspace that gives you good work posture and everything else. And if you have kids at home, it also means maybe trying to get an area away from them as best as you can, because they can be distracting. And then for some of you, I'm sure you have four-legged kids, also trying to be not as distracted by them as well. So having a dedicated workspace is huge, okay? The next thing is getting dressed for work every day. And to kind of back up to my own story again, when I left the New York Times and started working from home, for the first couple of years, I literally had a shed in my backyard. It was a nice shed. I kind of prettied it up, but I worked out of a shed. And for the first year, I literally got dressed in a suit and tie every day to walk across my yard into my little shed. And it was just to keep that mindset of you're really still working hard from home. So it's that whole fighting the urge not to try to work in your pajamas, even though it feels good, that you can kind of kick back and do it. You just can't. And then what a lot of people are now calling the Zoom mullet, right? Being dressed nice up top, but then party down below. You got to avoid that as well, because I'm sure you've already seen tons of crazy stories of people in the middle of a Zoom conference calls going to the bathroom, or the doorbell rings and you find out they're only wearing their underwear, whatever it might be. So try to make sure you're maintaining that work from home as much as you can, in the clothing as well, just so you have the mindset. And then try to force yourself to take regular breaks. And this was tough for me. I'm a workaholic and I have no problem skipping lunch. But when I work from home, I try to force myself to have a dedicated lunchtime and not just working from my computer, actually go into my kitchen and eating it there. And also, you got to almost force yourself to kind of get out of your workspace. I'll go out and I'll walk around the neighborhood for a little bit. I'll get some nature in just to kind of clear my head so I can go back and focus and work harder. And then this is huge if you're going to be first time working on your own or from home, is you got to make sure you give yourself a lot of short time attainable and trackable goals. Don't just say, I want to revamp my business, break it down to a bunch of little things and make sure you can track them. And every little goal you check off your list, celebrate it, okay? Because right now, with all the crazy things going on, you got to celebrate your successes more than ever. It's also a really good time to maybe reach out to some people and show them that you really care. You might have some more time on your hands than you usually have, where you can be writing some handwritten letters and send them to clients or postcards, or dropping them on phone calls or video calls. Now's a great time to show your customer base just how much you care, okay? And we're gonna give you some tools to help you really execute this as well. And then the big thing is being connected and staying connected with your sphere, whether it's your old clients, family, friends, or whatever. Right now is a time, again, to really show you care. So we're doing it right now with this Zoom webinar, right? But there's tools you could use to help you with this. And let's just start off with the basic ones you already definitely have. For example, I'm sure all of you guys in this already have a smartphone. Well, just making simple phone calls, text messages, video calls through your mobile devices is a great way to stay in check and say hi. There's also old school email, staying in touch, okay? And by the way, if you're just gonna send a one-on-one email to a client, you don't need an email marketing system. But if you do wanna send out mass emails to your customers, checking on them and seeing how they're doing, then you need an email marketing system. And I'm a big fan of MailChimp. MailChimp for a typical realtor is totally free to use, because you can have up to 2,000 people in your database and send up to 12,000 emails a month completely for free. So for most realtors, it's free. And you can only have email marketing this. You can do social media posting and landing pages for websites and everything else for free in MailChimp. And then another way to kind of really stand out with a customer these days is video is dominating all forms of marketing and communication. And a very popular tool in the industry is called BombBomb. BombBomb allows you to send one-on-one video emails to somebody. And BombBomb's technology is amazing, where the person can actually see your video and watch it without having to have a video player embedded in the email, because they actually make an animation out of your video so it can load into your email. So they are offering a 14-day trial period right now for BombBomb, and then it's $30 a month for the one-to-ones, or $588 a year if you want to do blasting up to a big database up to 3,500 people. So BombBomb, again, is a really cool tool, because most people aren't reading their emails these days, but if they see you taking the time to send them a personalized video, it's a whole different story. The results with BombBomb are way better than typical email marketing. Next tools we're going to get into are some video call tools. So starting off with FaceTime, okay? And by the way, FaceTime allows you from any Apple device, whether it's an iPhone, iPad, or MacBook computer, to video call another person or a group of people. The only negative to FaceTime, though, and it's a big one, is it's really Apple only. So if I have FaceTime on my iPhone and you have Android device, I can't call you with it. So that is a pretty big limitation, but there's a lot of tools other than FaceTime to do video calling. Starting with Skype, okay? Skype is owned by Microsoft and you can do video calls and chatting and texting within Skype. And about 1 billion people have Skype, okay? So you can really call people from all over the globe with this one. You also have Google Hangouts and Google Voice. And by the way, just be aware, Google Hangouts is gonna go away sometime soon. Google did say sometime this year they're going to be getting rid of Google Hangouts and free Gmail accounts. Okay. Now they do have a different tool called Google Hangouts Now Meet, which I'm going to show you in a moment, which is available in paid G Suite accounts. But eventually Google Hangouts will go away. But you can do phone calls, video calls, texting, and chatting with Google Hangouts and Google Voice. Okay. Another tool that's huge, especially if you are dealing with people from outside the United States, is WhatsApp. WhatsApp has over 2 billion people using it. Now, the key is the other person has to have it, but 2 billion is a little under 1/3 of the world's population. So you can pretty much call almost anybody if they have WhatsApp for free and video call with them. And one of the best parts about WhatsApp is also file transfer. So not only could I do a video call with you, I could record, let's say, a video walkthrough of a property and see that huge video file through WhatsApp for free. So WhatsApp is pretty awesome. And then most people don't realize that Facebook owns WhatsApp because they own Facebook Messenger as well. And about 1.5 billion people use Facebook Messenger. And pretty much if they're on Facebook, you can typically find them and connect them with Facebook Messenger. And because Facebook owns this and WhatsApp, a lot of the same cool technology of sending files and everything through Facebook Messenger work here as well. Another one that's really popular outside the US is called Viber. And there are a lot of people in the US using it as well. But again, you can do phone calls, video calls, texts, and chats with this one. And about 1 billion people use this one. And then if you're really doing a lot in the international space, you might want to look at a few others that are very popular outside the US, but aren't anywhere near as big as the other ones I just showed you. But for example, if you're really trying to target or communicate with people in Asia, okay, tools like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger are actually banned in a lot of parts of Asia and other parts of the world. Especially, communist countries, their governments really don't allow it. But for example, if I want to connect with somebody in Asia, they're probably use either Line, WeChat, Tencent, or KOKO. So one of those 4 tools would be very easy to connect with somebody over in Asia for free. If you're really heavily going after Europeans, yes, they're using some of the other ones I showed you earlier. But for example, Telegram is huge in the UK, also Poland and Russia. And then IMO is also very big in a lot of the Balkan countries in Europe. So again, the big ones like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Skype, Google Hangouts, you can definitely use those, and Viber. And then these are if you're really trying to target certain parts of the international market and communicate with them. Next topic would be some great virtual meeting and conference call tools. So kind of what we're doing here. And by the way, I don't know about you guys. I know a lot of people are starting to have Zoom fatigue, too many of these conference calls and video conferencing, but it's really helped a lot of us kind of get through these times to have that connection we're not getting right now in person. So whether it's a one-on-one or you want to grab a whole group of people, there's a lot of tools for video conferencing. Starting with GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting has virtual conferencing, meeting rooms, webinars, and more. So they do have a free, very basic plan, only allows you to do X amount of calls and X amount of people. And then their paid program starts at $12 a month. So GoToMeeting's very popular, been around for a long time. You also have Cisco WebEx, very similar, has a lot of the same tools as GoToMeeting. And this one starts at $13.50 a month per user. And then Microsoft recently has rolled out Microsoft Teams. And if you have Office, what's called Office 365, Microsoft Teams is now free if you're already paying for Office. And it can tie into a lot of other Microsoft tools like Skype for video conferencing, and Office, I'll show you later, it can tie into that as well. So combining these tools allows you now to have full video conferencing and do much more interactive things once you start using Teams. So there's another option for you. And then I mentioned that Google Hangouts, the free version, is going to go away sometime eventually, soon. But Google has what's called Google Hangouts Meet. And Meet is included with a G Suite account, which is a paid Gmail account. And I'm going to go over that in a minute, what a G Suite account really is. But if you have a paid G Suite account, you can do video conferencing with up to 250 people automatically in your account. So you don't have to buy this separately. It's part of G Suite. And then what has really become the most popular tool for this, and that's what we're doing this presentation in, is Zoom. Okay, Zoom, they do have a free basic plan, which allows you to throw, meetings on the fly and things like that. But if you want the ability to have your own dedicated room and webinars, the plan starts at $15 a month. So that's an option for you if you want to use Zoom. I mean, it's become so popular, it's now even becoming a verb. I Zoom today. Almost every video conference call is now being called Zooming. It's almost like it was like I Googled something 20 years ago. So it is definitely the most popular one. Everyone's using it. Pretty much you can assume if you're trying to connect with somebody out there, they already know about Zoom or probably already have it. And then the next piece we're going to do are some other tools you might want to use for communication and also project management. Especially if we have any broker owners on this call or team leaders, your people are scattered. I mean, it was hard to get them to the office before the pandemic, but now it's even harder to really kind of coordinate things. So first of all, there's tools like Slack. I love Slack. I use Slack religiously in my businesses. So Slack has become extremely popular in all of the corporate world because what it is, it's almost like a intercompany communication system. And by the way, when I say intercompany, it doesn't mean you have to be in the same building. You could have every one of your teammates scattered all over the world and be able to communicate with them in a Slack channel. So Slack is great. If you're a small team, it's free. If you have, I think, more than 5 people on your team, it becomes $6.67 per month per user. But you can not only chat with everybody instead of sending them emails they're not going to read, but you can do file transfer. And there's thousands of tools now out in the tech world that work with Slack, which makes it really a great dashboard to run your business out of, not just communicate. So Slack is great. There's also, from a project management side, tools like Asana. So if you're, trying to plan things out, a lot of people remotely, this one's great. They have a free plan, and then they have the more advanced pro plan for $10.99 per month per user. Another very popular one is called Basecamp. Basecamp has, you can do to-do lists and schedules and storage files and all these different kinds of things, real-time group chat, Q&As. So they do have a free basic plan. And then if you are going to have a large team, Basecamp is a major one to consider because it only has either free or the pro plan. And the pro plan is $99 a month for unlimited users. So just to kind of give you an example, if I back up one slide to Asana, if I had more than 9 employees, then Basecamp becomes a much better deal for full project management for your team. And then another very popular one is called Jira. And I use this one as well. And Jira also, they recently purchased Trello, which I've been using for years. So I kind of loved it because bam, 2 tools I was already using are now owned by the same company. But you can use this for assigning tasks and projects, making sure everyone on your team is doing what they're supposed to do on the right schedules. So again, you have Jira and Trello are owned by the same company and tie in together. And then the other next thing we're going to cover is what about some team and customer collaboration tools. So when you get into this, what I'm talking about is it's easy now where you can work on projects, not just schedule and track things remotely as well. So I mentioned that Microsoft Teams is now part of Microsoft Office. So if you have, or if you're already paying for Office 365, which is Office in the cloud, you're able to use Teams and now share and work on documents with people remotely. So in the old way with Microsoft Office, you were able to share a file with somebody. They would have to make the changes on their end, and then you'd have to track the changes they made, which was kind of a sloppy, hard to follow process. So with Teams, now you can work on the files dynamically with them. So again, Teams is part of Office. So if you're paying for Office, you're already getting it. There's also another program that Microsoft has called SharePoint, which also allows you to share things and work on things with other people. So with these programs, again, Teams is free, but both Office and SharePoint start at $5 a month per user. So you just got to decide, which ones you're going to use, but Teams doesn't open up more collaboration capability for a Microsoft person. But me personally, I'm a big fan of Google because Google's systems are completely collaborative, even on a free Gmail account. So all of Google's tools, whether it's calendars, mail, Docs, which is their Office suite, Drive, all have great collaboration capabilities built into them for free. Okay, so you don't have to buy anything separately. Now, oh, and by the way, I just saw a question pop up in the Q&A. Will this be able on replay? The answer is yes. So on the LIBOR website, so it's libor.com/COVID, is where they're posting all the different webinars that they're doing each week. And this one will be available on replay there, okay? But again, back to the Google system, all of Google's tools have collaboration built into them. So the first thing, just to make sure you understand, there's a big difference between what's called a Gmail account and a G Suite account. I'm sure most of you guys in this webinar have a Gmail account. And if you have Gmail, you know it's free, but because it's a free account, you have no support whatsoever. If there's ever a problem, you're on your own. There's advertising in your account, including contextually related advertising, which means Google is reading your emails and your docs to serve related ads. And your email address ends in gmail.com, and only get 15 gigs of storage space in your entire account. Of course, you can pay to get more, but this is what you get with a free Gmail account. Google has a whole other account called G Suite, which I'd highly recommend you should look into. So there is a $6 a month account, but I would say don't waste your time. Go to the $12 a month account, okay? So as long as you become a paid customer of Google with a G Suite account, you now have 24/7 support for any Google-related problem. You also have free onboarding, which means when you go to set up your account, you can have a Google employee set up properly for you so you don't screw anything up. There's no advertising in a G Suite account, and your email address won't end in gmail.com. It ends in whatever website address you own. So if I had Long Island realestateagent.com as my website, I could have Craig at longislandrealestateagent.com as my email. And then my account is unlimited storage across the entire account. And I did mention that there is a $6 a month account. The only difference between the 6 and the 12 is the last bullet. If you go to $6 a month, you're only getting 30 gigs of storage space, which is not a lot. You spend the extra $6 a month, it goes to unlimited, which is really valuable in a business like real estate where you're playing with big files all the time. So again, by becoming a G Suite account, you do get all these extra perks. But even in a free Gmail account, you have integration of all the collaboration tools. So for example, if I'm in a Gmail, even a free Gmail account, you can have a little right pane over here that integrates Google Hangouts, Google Voice, and Google Meets. So I can chat with somebody without ever leaving my email, phone call, and video call them all inside my email account. Also, you also have your mini dashboard, that little right panel, where any tools you use can be kind of shortcuts from inside your account. So for example, the very last icon there is Trello, the one I mentioned that I use for project management. The next one up here, two up, is Slack I use for communication. So I don't have to leave Google to do all my other tools because they're built right in, okay? And one of the best parts of collaborating when it comes to Google is Google Docs, which I mentioned is Google's answer to Microsoft Office. But it is completely free no matter how many devices you have. For Office, you got to pay per device per month, okay? So Google has created a program that's the equivalent of every Microsoft Office program. So Docs is just like Word, Slides is just like PowerPoint, Sheets is just like Excel, Drawing is just like Publisher, and Forms is way more powerful than Access, but it's similar to Microsoft Access. And to kind of show you by the way, one of the big advantages is the fact that it syncs right into Google Drive. So you could take every Office document you've ever created, all your Word documents, spreadsheets, and everything, upload them into Google Drive, where you can just drag and drop them in. And the first time you click on any of them, it'll convert them into Google documents. You don't have to do anything special. It works great with Microsoft Office documents, converting them, okay? And one of the coolest parts about Docs, first of all, it looks exactly like Microsoft Office. This looks just like Word. All the menu items are the same menu items. All the icons in the editing toolbar are the same icons. So you have to learn anything. But from a collaboration standpoint, it's way better than Office. As I mentioned, Microsoft is now pushing Microsoft Teams, which is kind of tricky. You got to use like 2 different programs to figure out how to make them kind of collaborative. With Google, if I share a document with somebody, I'm sure you can see there's 2 little icons that I boxed in here. What it means is somebody else I've shared this document with is logged in the same time as me, and we can make changes in real time and see each other even though they're on the other side of the world. We can chat about and ask each other questions. We could even launch a Google Hangout and do a phone call or video conference about it without ever leaving the document. So collaboration is much easier in Google because it's all built into each program. And the other thing that's kind of different or better about Google's Office than Microsoft's is one of the menu items called add-ons. Add-ons is basically an entire, think of it like an app store. Google allows other companies to build cool tools inside of their systems. And some of these little tools, these add-ons, make their Office programs much more powerful than Microsoft Office, because a lot of companies come up with cool little ideas to kind of build in. So, and if we had more time, I would kind of show you a lot of cool examples of add-ons, but this really does make it more powerful. So Maria just asked, so to confirm, I can upload all my Office 365 docs to Google and then save my password and switch to Google? The answer is absolutely, okay? It's very easy to switch from Microsoft Office into Google Docs. That is a different story if you're using Apple's Office suite called iWorks. So in other words, if you try to upload a Keynote file, which is Apple's version of PowerPoint, it will not work in Google Docs, but Microsoft Office files do extremely well. You might run into the occasional file where a font gets screwed up or whatever, but I've really never had a problem using any Office documents in Google Office. And by the way, this I'm just showing you here. It is no different than going out to an app store and finding a cool app to put on your phone. You just find an add-on to put into these Office programs. And I mentioned Google Forms is way more powerful than Microsoft Access. It's also way easier to use. You typically need to have a little bit of coding knowledge just to use Access to create, kind of databases or whatever. Google Forms is extremely easy to use. You can create questionnaires, polls, surveys, even landing pages to your websites. So for example, later when I'm going to give you the way where you can download all these slides, I'm going to send you to a page on my site where you can say, just sign with your name and your email address, and it'll send you to the download page to get to this file, okay? It's a Google form. I didn't know any code. I just created this little questionnaire. But you can just be sending out polls to your customers right now. How are you feeling about the marketing conditions? Or what do you think of my customer service? Google Forms are very easy to create, and they're very easy to use. And it not only keeps track of all the responses in Google Forms, but also creates a spreadsheet back in Google Sheets of everyone's responses. So it's very easy to use, and you can do a lot of things with it for collaboration with customers and vendors. All right. Moving out of the kind of office from home kind of stuff I've given you so far. Now let's start getting into, as a realtor, how can you do things like listing presentations, CMAs, and property showings and everything else in the current environment we're in. I just saw Beth say incredibly detailed and powerful info. Love to hear that. There's more coming, trust me. All right, so let's start off with just listing presentation and CMA tools. Right away, you got to talk about RPR, okay? RPR, I've said it a million times, I think is the greatest gift NAR has ever given the membership. It's member only, consumers cannot use RPR, only you can. But the amount of data and reporting you can do in RPR and then share that with a customer, even remotely, you can just send them the invite to the file you created for them, is incredible. So you can create neighborhood reports, property reports, renter reports, investor analysis, pretty much any kind of data reporting you want to do, you can do with RPR. Okay, so definitely use that. There's also another program called Cloud CMA, which is very popular in the industry. It creates much more kind of condensed, more imagery kind of based CMAs and presentations. So you can use Cloud CMA. And then a third one, and this one's a little bit more out of the box, is one called Studio HQ. Okay, Studio HQ, the way they just kind of describe it, and I've kind of played with it, it's pretty cool. It's almost like you're creating an interactive magazine of a property that really allows you to tell the story of a property better than a typical CMA would. So you can embed videos in there, you can kind of put photos in, and the person kind of flips through it like they would in a magazine. So it's almost like you're creating a magazine just for one property with Studio HQ. So pretty cool one you can check out. All right, next category are remote and virtual showing tools. How can you show a property without the customer actually being there? So first of all, and I've been saying this for years, is that if you're not currently doing it, you might want to kind of step up your game and do more virtual showings of properties because a lot of customers, especially out of area ones, really are open to going to them versus having to travel to see the property. But in a time like right now, where people are literally afraid to leave their own homes, they're probably more inclined to do a virtual showing than ever. And I can tell you my own personal experience. And I was talking with Marianne and Jonathan right before we started. I literally sold my house the day the pandemic really started, when everything was going down on, what was it, March 13th? That was that weekend where everything started shutting down. Sold my house that day. And then I had to buy a house during this whole, situation where everything was really getting kind of shut down. And I actually had a few houses I wanted to go see where the property owners didn't even want me in their house. They were like, nope, we're not taking showings. And I was like, why are you even on the market if you're not accepting showings? But if they were doing it virtually or had a virtual floor plan or whatever, that might have changed the game. So again, you really should be thinking about doing this a lot right now if you're not doing it. So let's kind of give you some tools to do it. Before I give you some tools, I want to actually show you that a lot of realtors are actually thriving right now because they're adapting to this technology. So the first little video I'm going to show you is actually from a newscast. I'm based out of Florida, and this is a kind of a local newscast that was highlighting a local real estate company that was actually crushing it since the pandemic started. And you'll see in this little newscast, the broker even talks about how they're definitely not a tech savvy company, but they had to adapt to survive, and they're doing great because of it.
WPTV is dedicated to profiling businesses that are still open for all of us. As you know, the COVID-19 crisis continues to impact all local businesses. Yet tonight, another company is getting really creative to stay afloat. WPTV News Channel 5's Sabira Rayford shows you how.
COVID-19 has forced many businesses to shut down. However, one local real estate agency is using this as an opportunity to go virtual.
We're going to go from house to house today.
Virtual reality meet virtual realty.
And we're going to show you 9 different open houses.
On Sunday, for the first time, Echo Find Properties.
We specialize in residential real estate in Palm Beach County.
Open the digital door to real estate.
We have to go into crisis management mode.
COVID-19 caused them to close their offices, now using Zoom, a video conferencing program. The president of the agency says they were able to safely sell properties.
This weekend we had 3 sales. And, one of them, was in New York. It was a doctor who wanted to be out of New York. It was in a rental situation and bought a home this weekend.
He says this pandemic forced them to embrace technology. It's a reality that's far from perfect.
You have to unmute your mic, Jeff.
But one he believes will be beneficial in the long run.
So as long as we stay at the forefront and stay positive, reach out to our clients, communicate, solve problems, and not dwell in the negative, but where we can be in a positive force, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Reporting in Palm Beach County, Sabira Rayford, WPTV News Channel 5.
So hopefully you caught that. And I've met that broker before. He is definitely not one I would put into that whole tech savvy category. I do know some really advanced brokers, but they were like, hey, we're in a situation, we got to figure it out. We got to adapt if we're going to really continue to kind of prosper here. So to kind of take it a step further, of some other realtors that I saw that are also doing a great job and actually thriving right now. For example, and Craig Wilburn, if you're not familiar with him, I know he's very involved in, a lot in the industry through RPAC and YPNs and everything, but he's another Florida-based realtor, and him and his team have been crushing it. I mean, they're good all year round, but they've been doing great through the pandemic, doing a lot of virtual showings of properties. And I'm not sure if you can really see it very well where the numbers are on the post over on the left, but it shows, and this was not a boosted ad. He didn't do anything, spend a penny to get it more exposure, but it was a virtual showing of property, over 1,000 views, 47 comments, and 8 shares. Okay. So a lot of traction there, and they're pre-promoting, which I'm going to teach you how to do in a moment. But a lot of activity they're getting for their properties by doing these virtual showings. And then something else that I saw that they did that I actually loved was they're not just selling properties through the pandemic. They're also trying to be as much of a resource to the community as possible. So for example, they put out their own resource guide of how to get, the loans and all the government programs and, how to, deal with your kids at home and everything else. They put out their own resource guide for their community for the pandemic. And then something else they did was pretty cool was their different team members were posting videos all the time of, here's fun things to do with the kids now they're home from school, fun educational activities or games you can play with them. So all this kind of stuff really helps build a very organic connection with their community. And that's why they don't have to spend money to get a lot of exposure, because they have such a strong following. All right, so let's start giving you some tools you can use to help kind of virtually sell or promote a property. So first of all, there's virtual staging. If you're dealing with a property that is vacated or doesn't have furniture in it, it's even harder to sell. So there's some great tools you could use for virtual staging, and these are ones you could do it yourself, very easy to use. So the three on the top row are apps you could use on your mobile device. Homestyle InDesign, Curate, and IKEA Place. They allow you to go in, just take a picture or be in the room, and then just insert furniture out of their furniture library. And you can kind of go in and say, oh, this is the kind of style of couch I like and things like that to stage the room yourself. The one on the bottom called Visual Stager is done from a computer. So if you'd rather do it from your computer and sit there with a mouse and do it that way, you could use Visual Stager instead. So again, the top three are from mobile devices, they're apps. The bottom one is from a computer where you can virtually stage. And even though these are all, in my opinion, pretty easy to use where you could figure them out no matter what your tech skill is, if you either don't have the time or the skill to do virtual staging, then I'm a big fan of a vendor called Box Brownie. I'm not sure how many of you guys in this group are using Box Brownie, but they're very popular in the industry because they have very low prices, quick turnarounds, and excellent quality work. So you could just send them a picture of a vacated room and they'll go in and virtually stage it for you in a turnaround under 24 hours, okay? And if you're looking for a little bit more than that, they also do image removal. They can do virtual rendering. Here's what the room would look like if you actually, redid it, or here's the backyard look like if you put in a pool. So Box Brownie has a lot of different services, and that's, again, one you can use if you don't want to do it yourself. And then another tool you can check out that might also help you promote a property right now is Magic Plan. So I'm going to show you this little video for Magic Plan, and you're going to see just how quick and easy someone's able to not only measure the room, but create a floor plan using Magic Plan as well. So I saw wow in the chat, which is, I agree. So with Magic Plan, to kind of give you an idea, the measuring the room without moving the furniture and creating the 2D floor plan is free. And if you saw, they measured one room and then went room to room and did the whole property and created the floor plan for it. Even went back in and added, where windows are and things like that, where the toilets are into the floor plan. So the measuring and the 2D floor plan are free. If you want to create the 3-dimensional floor plan and what's called an immersive tour, where somebody feels that they can walk through the property, then you would have to get the paid version of Magic Plan. But again, the 2D version and the measuring is free. The 3D with the immersive tour is the paid upgrade. So Lolita just asked, do you have to physically be at the property? To do the measuring, yes, okay? So if you want to actually be able to move around the room and measure each corner, yes, you'd have to be there to do that part. But to put a floor plan out there so somebody else could see it, a potential buyer, that is pretty big, especially right now. Somebody just asked again if there's gonna be a recording. Yes, there is. It'll be on the LIBOR website. We'll go over that again towards the end. Somebody else asked, can you please repeat what is the website for virtual staging? That was Visual Stager. So I'll type that in real quick for you. Okay, so it's called Visual Stager. And then I'm not sure the exact price of the 3D, the upgrade. If we have time, I'll try to peek at that, on their site. But again, the 2-dimensional and the measuring is free. And just putting a floor plan online these days will help out a lot of buyers, even if you go with the paid version. All right, Somebody else asks, is it easy enough to use that we can give the seller access magic plan and they can do it? Yeah, it can be done from any mobile device. So if you'd rather have the property owner do their own measuring, then yes, you could give them access and have them do it. Because again, it is free to do the 2-dimensional floor plans. That's a really good question. All right. The next thing is, what about actually doing a virtual showing of a property where you could be on the phone with somebody and walk them around it? Okay. So all the tools I showed you earlier, like Skype, Zoom, Facebook Messenger, Google Hangouts, FaceTime, WhatsApp, all of them could easily be used to do a virtual showing of a property where you walk someone around it and give them the tour yourself. Okay. So that is definitely, we don't have to do something totally separate. The same tools you use to do a video call on your phone could be that walk them around the property virtual showing tool. But if you're smart, and this isn't just during the pandemic, okay, you should be live streaming just about everything these days, not just to Facebook. A lot of people think it's just Facebook Live. All the major social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Snapchat. I always say it, they're giving away the candy store for live streaming video right now. What I mean by that is, if you record a video and upload it to any of those sites, you'll get your normal small audience of people seeing it. So if you normally get 50 people you reach, you'll get your same 50 people. If you decide to live stream it instead, you'll get between 10 and 20 times the exposure for the post, because they're showing it to way more people for free, and they're making it much higher placement in the notifications. So let's just say I'm not online at the time you did your live stream, but I go back to the site later that day. It'll typically tell someone right at the top, Craig was live earlier. So you're getting a lot more exposure for live streaming than you are for recorded and uploaded video. So if I were you, I would be live streaming open houses, property tours, neighborhood and community tours, just about anything, because you get way more eyeballs for free, which is what you really want. But if you're really smart, it's not just that you should live stream it, it's that you should live stream it and promote it in advance. In other words, you gotta kind of warn people, hey, you need to be online tomorrow at 4 o'clock because I'll be live at this property to give you a whole virtual showing. Okay, schedule it in advance. You might even do what, especially this is something with Facebook and Instagram, you can do what are called watch parties. You invite other people in as you're doing it, so you get even more of an audience. Maybe get some of your friends to organize watch parties instead. The more people involved, the more free exposure you're going to get for your properties. That's what you're looking for. And by the way, if you're not aware of this, Facebook just did a major improvement to what's called the live producer. They created a new screen that's much easier for you to either go live right now or schedule one for the future. So I'm going to show you a quick little video that I created to give you a quick little tour of the new live producer.
Hey guys, this is Craig with RTI, just here to show you a cool little trick. Facebook has recently enhanced how you can do a Facebook Live, and you can do this either from your personal or profile or your business page, and either from a computer like a desktop or any mobile device as well. But for example, if I wanted to go do a post, this is my personal profile, and I click on these 3 little dots, and then I choose live video. It's now going to send me to a new screen called the Live Producer. So again, this is pretty new. Facebook just rolled this out, but it gives you much better kind of targeting capabilities to do a Facebook Live. So for example, I can choose over on the left, do I want to go live right now? Or do I want to schedule a live video, which is exactly what it sounds like. I could pick a date and time in the future. But let's just, for the sake, to say, let's go live now. I then can choose whether I want to post it to my own timeline, to a business page that I manage, or to a group I'm a part of. And of course, I could say whether I want it to be public or to a specific audience. Give it a title, give it a description, and do the normal stuff like tag friends and check in the location and your feelings and activities. So I can do all the normal stuff I would do for a live post or any kind of post. All right, so let's just kind of put that in there. Then in the Get Started area, you can either say I want to use stream keys, and what that means is a lot of times if you're using like a third party video tool to do your video, you can use a stream key. So for example, in this tab, I have our Zoom account, which is what program we use to do our webinars. So for example, if I want to set up live streaming of this webinar to go to Facebook Live, I would just go back here and grab the server URL and the stream key and paste it into these two boxes. So again, if I want to do it with the stream keys, that would allow me to pull in the live video from another source, like the way I was doing with Zoom. Or you could say, well, let's just use my own camera. Okay, and now you can see, now we're using my webcam to pull it in. You can also choose if you want a specific microphone output. So we'll choose my headset. And if I go live now, see the blue button over on the left? I will go live right now with me on camera. I also have the option to share a screen. So if I wanted to, for example, give a demonstration of something on my computer, or if I wanted to pull up a PowerPoint slide deck or anything like that, I could do share screen instead of using my webcam. So again, you can go back and you can schedule one live, or you can go right now, or you can schedule them for the future. You can also, along the top here, add in polls and questions and answers, things like that. Okay, so a lot of cool capabilities, but the major thing is just a much easier interface to create a Facebook Live or even schedule them for the future. So hopefully this little video helped. If you have any questions, just let us know.
All right, so again, I put that little video just to show you how easy it is to use. It's definitely, it used to be much trickier. You had to be a little bit geekier and know a specific link to go to. Now, anytime you do a post, if you click live, it'll kick into that screen and it's very easy to set up. All right, so Holly just asked, so if you scheduled a Zoom for say 5/1 at 11 a.m., you can share it to Facebook. Where do you broadcast live from? The Zoom meeting link. So you could either do it directly from Facebook if you're going to use your camera. If you want to live stream from something like a Zoom, then you'll have to use those stream keys that I showed. So it just matters where you're doing it from. Somebody asked, Susan asked, how if I screw up my live video? Guys, you think you got to realize about video these days, it's okay to screw up. Nobody likes perfect video anymore. They like authenticity more. So if you stumble on some words or giggle or whatever, it's not a big deal. Just go with it, okay? But if you go live, yes, you're going live. There's not much you can get around that. All right, I see a bunch of questions coming in. Let me kind of get through the material, and then I'll back up to the comments and the questions because I want to make sure we kind of get you guys done on time. All right, so some other tools you could use are some cameras and different video tools you may or may not know about that are on the market. So for example, the Ricoh Theta 5 has exploded in popularity in the industry. If any of you guys went to any art convention last year, almost every booth that had anything to do with video or photos or anything was featuring this camera. It's a small little stick camera that can literally fit in your pocket. And that little stick can do pictures, videos, even 360 virtual tours, and create floor plans with immersive, like where they can move around, all in that camera. In fact, even companies like Matterport that have a much more expensive specialized camera were promoting this camera because it can do a lot of the Magic Plan functionality in a $500 camera. Pretty impressive, okay? There's other tools like iGuide, which is an app you can put on your mobile devices to create floor plans and walkthrough tours from an app called iGuide, okay? And they do have special lenses and everything you can buy to take better photos and videos of your virtual tours. But iGuide is a pretty cool tool you can look into as well. And then if you really want to go that extra mile or kind of differentiator, you can look into Matterport. Matterport creates what's called a dollhouse view, where somebody almost feels like somebody's taken the roof or the ceiling off of a property, and then the person can do an immersive tour, feel like they're walking around. So again, Matterport's a pretty expensive specialized camera, but it does create a very different experience than you typically get with a normal virtual tour. And then kind of the last thing is, I always say, for some of you, you might be just as busy as you were before it, right? Before all this craziness started. But for some of you, you might have more free time on your hands than you used to. So if you do have some extra free time, what better time to work on you, right? Like you could actually improve and come out stronger. So first of all, it might be a great time to invest in yourself for education. Obviously, you're taking this webinar right now. You probably already have somewhat of an interest of improving your business this way, but it might even be a good time to not only take in more webinars, maybe go after that designation you've been putting off forever, or maybe trying out a new technology tool you haven't used before that you've been afraid of. Maybe now is the time to use a drone or whatever. But now's the time you can grow yourself through education, okay? It's also might be a great time for you to sit down and reassess and revamp your entire marketing strategy. Figure out what's working and what's not. And if something's not working, maybe go find a better solution for it, okay? And I teach a lot in this space. It might mean that maybe you get a little more active in social media, or maybe take on another social media site you're not doing. And it's also a great time to build up your niche and your brand. I'm sure a lot of you guys know the old mantra: companies that run and hide during a pandemic or a slowdown come out weak. The ones that are out in front and still doing things come out stronger. So now is actually the perfect time to build out your brand and your niche if you're able to do so. And there's some tools you may not know about to help you revamp your marketing, like Lucid Press. Lucid Press is like a do-it-yourself, build your own marketing materials that's really specialized for the real estate world, where they already have flyer designs and business card designs and all that kind of stuff, and you're able to go in very easily and do it. And if I have any broker owners on the call, it also has really good branding control. So if you want to make it where every agent in your company has the exact same layout of their flyers, but the company branding the same way, you have really good control of that if you buy it as a company. If you don't want to go with Lucid Press, I'm a huge fan of Canva. To me, it's my favorite tool because I do a lot of non-real estate things. So whereas Lucid Press is really just for real estate, Canva, there's over 1,000 things you can design in free for Canva, from business cards to flyers to social media posts and everything else. And it's very easy to use because, similar to Lucid Press, you're kind of working off a professional's template, and it's kind of hard to screw up a design in Canva. But again, you might have more free time to revamp your marketing, image, and branding. And if you're not able to do it yourself, go pay for it on a site like Fiverr, okay? Fiverr, their whole motto is, I'll do that for $5. I'll design your logo, I'll do an edit of a video for you, I'll do voice narration for you for $5 or $10. So if you're not able to do it yourself, just pay for it. And then last thing is, it might also be time to invest in a CRM. If you don't have a CRM, you might want to go get one. If you have a CRM, you're probably not getting much out of it. In fact, I've talked to so many of the vendors that run CRM companies, and they say, yeah, our typical customers are maybe using 10% of the capabilities of our systems, or they don't really go in and really fill out customer profiles as much as they should to get more out of it. So again, if you don't have a CRM, you might want to go get one. If you have one, you might want to use this time to invest to get more out of your system, because the CRM really runs your entire business. It used to be just a contact management system that kind of help you identify the best leads in your system. But now these systems are also doing communications, they're doing document storage, daily activities of all the things you got to do, okay? They're helping you with follow-up of how to follow up and automating your follow-up processes, financial tracking, marketing, and so much more, okay? So CRMs, again, are one of the most important tools a realtor needs to have. And I see a couple of questions about cost of CRM and recommendations. I don't have a specific recommendation of one because my answer is always every CRM is different, okay? But I do have a resource for you to help you, which is I built out a tool on our site on RTI called a CRM generator. And what we did was we literally interviewed about 20 of the top CRM vendors in the industry, said, show us, demo your product for us. And then we recorded those demos, of course. And then we made them fill out a questionnaire that told us exactly what tools and integrations their system has and which ones it doesn't have. And then we turned it into a little 8-question questionnaire. So all you got to do is answer 8 questions. At the end of the 8 questions, it ranks all those vendors from best to worst on your own personal needs. And then you can click into their profiles and even watch those videos and learn about them, and even schedule appointments with them. So I always say don't use this tool, just go with the #1 recommendation. You still want to set up demos with maybe your top 5. But this might help you whittle down the field from 100 vendors down to maybe your top 4 or 5 that you could really look into deeper. So it's just a great tool to figure out the research side of things. Okay, so if you want to use it, go ahead. It's a resource for you on the RETI site. And then the last thing would be, if you do need help learning about tech or marketing, first of all, my company RETI, we do free webinars every single week, every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern. So you can attend as many of our webinars for free as you'd like to. But if you need help learning about tech or marketing or anything like that, you might want to consider becoming a member of the site. We have hundreds, actually we have like almost 3,000 instructional videos and product reviews and webinars on our site, all about real estate tech and marketing. So again, that's a resource that's available to you if you need it, but the weekly webinars are free. So hopefully I tried to pack as much as I could into the hour. I'm of course gonna back up and try to see any questions I might have missed. But again, this is a time to actually help you build your business and come out even stronger. So hopefully I gave you a bunch of tools to help you with that. So let me kind of kick out of the presentation. And I'm going to give you I see a bunch of questions about where do I get the slides. So I'm going to put that definitely in the chat room first. So let me kind of back out of the share. All right, so on the RETI site, if you go to this link, which I'll read out in a second once I type it. All right, so if you go to reti.us/CG event, okay, which I put into the chat room, you'll see it's a very basic sign-in page. Just your name and email address is all you got to do. And then it sends you to a page on the website where you can click and download any of my classes, not just this one. So if you want to download my social media class or my apps class, feel free. You can download any of them you want once you sign into that little form, okay? So again, just reti.us/CG event. And you just got to put in your name and your email address. All right, so now let me kind of back up and see if there's any questions I missed. I'm going to start in the Q&A and then I'll do the chat room as well. By the way, Jonathan, I asked you earlier, I don't think I got an answer. Did I give out the link correctly that it's libor.com/COVID is where they get the class material?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so I'm going to re-put that into the chat room. So libor.com/COVID is where the association is posting all the different weekly webinars they're doing. So I don't know, John, do you know the turnaround time when it'll probably be there?
Zoom's usually taking about 2 hours.
Okay, so you'll have it up today, is bottom line now.
Yeah, most likely.
Okay, so if you go to libor.com/COVID, you'd be able to watch this webinar on replay by sometime later today. All right, so let me start going through those questions again. What kind of content would a new agent discuss on a live stream? Debbie, honestly, anything. I mean, you could be just talking about the market. You'd be talking about your life right now. If you don't have listings to promote, I guess that's kind of what you're asking. You could be talking about non-real estate things. It's all about really building community is really the goal right now. Next question was Howard. He said, would you please quickly share the slide of the virtual staging apps? Let me see if I can get to it. All right, so I'm going to put that back up in the screen just for a moment. All right, next person asked, is there a free CRM for agents without huge resources right now? The answer is there's not a real estate CRM that's free that I'm aware of, okay? There's a free one called HubSpot, which is what I like to call a generic CRM, meaning it can be used by anybody in any business, but I don't know of a free real estate CRM that's really geeked out for real estate, if that makes sense. Next one. Wow, this was like several webinars in one. Love to hear that one. Thanks for the great info. Will this presentation be available? Again, I already put that link into the chat room, which is the libor.com/COVID. Whole bunch of awesomes, which I love to see. Somebody else asked about the RETI site. So I just put that link in there again. It's reti.us is the site itself. And then you can go to CG event for the download of the slides. So let me back up to the chat and see if I missed anything. Okay, so Philip had asked if with the Facebook Live, the producer where you could schedule the webinar, are you able to target based on things like income? Income was removed from Facebook advertising about a year ago when they got nailed for all the fair housing issues. So income you can't do, But if you go in to set it up as an advertisement, not as just a regular schedule, you're able to go in and choose things like people's professions, their companies they work for, their hobbies, websites they visited. So there's ways to kind of achieve income without actually targeting their income brackets. Next question, somebody asked about the Ricoh Theta 5 camera, that little stick camera. Last time I checked, it was around $500 or $600. It wasn't that bad. They run different deals all the time, but it was around the $500 range. I think that there's probably the same person asked about a free CRM. Again, the HubSpot's the only free one I know about. Unless you're trying to consider things like, you know, I can use Outlook as a CRM, which it really isn't. HubSpot's the only free one I know of, but it's not really built for real estate. Somebody else about which CRMs I would suggest. I gave you the tool where you can go and do the research really quickly because I don't usually recommend one because they're all very different. Somebody else asked about the slides. Okay, Marianne posted the link. Sensational information. I like sensational. That's a new one. Somebody else asked about the promo code on the RATI site. It's new RATIYR. Okay, so that gets you the year for $75, which is a $25 savings. Just, you know, it's usually $100. Okay, somebody else asked, with Facebook Live Producer, can you create a sign-in sheet? Not through Facebook, not that I'm aware of. There might be a way to do it that I haven't noticed. You could create it as an event, and an event could have a sign-in for an event. Or you can create it in something like Zoom and create a sign-in page where they'd have to go register at Zoom first and then stream it in. But I don't think there's a way to make somebody register for a Facebook Live in the producer screen. Okay, next one. Great content, a lot of those. Okay, so somebody else asked, do you know how 360 camera works? Sure, if you're talking about the one that I showed, the Theta 5, they sell with it a tripod and it goes onto that little tripod base and then it slowly spins and does a 360 turn. So that's how that one works. And then somebody else asked, how do you get to live on Facebook? Just go to the normal posting box screen, like where you would normally type in a normal post on Facebook, and then you'll see the option to go live in all the different like icons you can click on. So you don't have to go anywhere special, just post like you normally would, and then click on the Go Live Now button. All right, let me see if I missed anything else. Okay, so, Lolita asked, would you suggest promoting an office listing just starting out on social media? The answer is sure, why not? But when I teach social media, one thing I'm big on is balance and not being too much of a salesperson. So in other words, doing an occasional post about a property or, you know, a new listing or a price reduction, whatever, an occasional thing is fine. But if every post you're doing is about a property, that gets old and actually turns people off. So if you're looking for kind of a formula to follow, I usually coach either a 90-10 or an 80-20 rule, which would mean, let's say you've posted 10 total times a week on a website, 1 or 2 max could be you promoting a property. The other 8 or 9 out of 10 should be about other things, not just properties, okay? But especially if you're kind of new and don't have much to post, why not? Why not promote a property from your company? Oh, I see this is a lifesaver. So I love hearing that, Debbie. Would Fiverr be to get someone to help you produce live experience? Okay, so Maria asked, thanks for all the info, but would Fiverr be a place to get someone to help produce a go live experience? No. If you're gonna do Facebook Live, it's really just gotta do it. Like you just hit that live button and you are on camera right that moment going live. So you don't have to do anything special to go live or hire anybody. You could hire somebody on Fiverr, maybe you create a video and want a professional to voice narrate it. Or maybe you want them to edit the video to make it nicer and cleaner. Or you want them to design something for you. So you hire people on Fiverr to do quick little marketing things, but not going live because it's you going live at that moment. And then Margaret asked, how safe is Zoom right now? Improving a lot. When all the bad news came out about Zoom being not a safe place, they've done a lot over the last few weeks to tighten up security. They're now requiring a password for every login. They're not displaying the URL of a live, anything you do in Zoom. the way they used to. It used to be on screen so you could see it at all times. And you should always make sure that not only you having a password on your Zoom webinars meetings, but also creating a different URL each time. If it's the same URL, somebody can always log back in or give it out to somebody else. So they have improved a lot in their security. All right, new question just popped in. If you have a virtual tour on a listing already recorded, can you post it on live? The answer would be no. Live has to be done at that moment, okay? So what you could do is you could upload it as a normal one or go back and reshoot it if you want to do it actually as live. Okay, I know I'm probably at my time, Jonathan and Mariana. I don't want to kind of, if you guys want me to hop off, I will. Totally up to you.
Oh, just want to thank you.
Yeah.
The comments are incredible. Everybody's saying amazing, so helpful, so jam-packed in the 1 hour. So we thank you so very much. Definitely. And, we look forward to your coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys, I hope this helped you guys. It's all about, like I said, don't run and hide right now. The more you kind of start doing things, the more it'll help you when you come out of this.
Remember, Craig's recorded webinar will be on LIBOR's website, which is lirealtor.com/COVID. And you could see this recorded version, the slides, and other upcoming webinars. So we hope to work with you again. Stay well.
You too.
Thank you. Be safe. Thanks, Craig.
All right, no problem. Have a great day, everybody.